Hello everyone. Now, again, in the rise of nationalism, I'm going to tell you about the age of revolutions from 1830 to 48. Basically, in this particular topic, you are going to study about the romantic imagination and the national feeling. What does this mean? The romanticism, and the second point is the hunger, hardship, and popular revolts. There were many problems faced by European countries. They faced a lot of hunger, hardship, and many revolts took place. And at the same time, in 1948, the revolution of the liberals, those who asked for autonomy and the rights of the common man. So here it is: romantic imagination and national feeling, then hunger strike. Hunger, hardship, and popular revolts were all over in Europe, and in 1848 revolution of the liberals that has got main and more importance. In the age of revolutions, the Bourbon kings were overthrown by liberal revolutionaries. Who were the Bourbon kings? I told you. In the next slide, I'll again explain you. Who installed a constitutional monarchy. Earlier, there was absolute monarchy. They installed the constitutional monarchy. Louis Philippe at its head. He was the head. The July Revolution has sparked an uprising in Brussels, and which led to the Belgium outbreak. And they got freed from the hands of from the clutches of United Kingdom. And in 1821, Greek struggled for independence. Again, I am explaining you the Bourbon dynasty was restored to power, and Louis Philippe was the ruler that time. Nationalism was associated with the revolution in Italian and German states, the province of Ottoman Empire, that means the present day Turkey, which extended its power to the leaps and bounds. Then I'm talking about Ireland, I'm talking about Poland. These revolutions were led by the liberal nationalists belonging to the educated middle class, elite professors. As in the earlier video, I told you that these were the people, those who came to be known as the middle class. The first upheaval took place in France in July 1830. Again, the word Bourbon kings, now overthrown by the liberal revolutionaries who installed a constitutional monarchy. Metternich, who was Austrian chancellor, once remarked, when France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches cold. Why? Because in most of the happenings, France was the leader. In 1789, when French Revolution took place, France was a stimulator for the other European countries. So it is said by Metternich that when France sneezes, the rest of the Europe catches cold. The July Revolution has sparked an uprising in Brussels, which led to Belgium breaking away from the United Kingdom, because earlier it was under the rule of United Kingdom. On 25th of August 1830, riots erupted in Brussels and shops were looted, and slowly, with an uprising followed by elsewhere in the country, factories were occupied and machinery destroyed, and Brussels freed itself. Now, the Greek War of Independence. The Greek War, the Greece was under the Ottoman Empire in up to since 15th century, and the growth of revolutionary nationalism in Europe sparked off the struggle for independence, because Europe gave an idea to rebel against the autocratic rulers. So nationalists in Greek got support from the Greeks living in the exile and also from many European parts. Poets and artists also led this revolution. An English poet, Lord Byron, organized funds, and later went to the fight in the war. Finally, the Treaty of Constantinople in 1832. In the Greek of in the war of Greek independence war, uh, which ended in the Treaty of Constantinople in 1832. Now we will talk about in 3.1 romantic imagination and the national feeling. The word romanticism, it's a word of its own. If one is having a romance, so this romance was with the nation, with with the nationalism. So what does this mean? Romanticism refers to a movement in art, literature, and music during 19th century. So now people started talking about romanticism for the nationalism. It was not related with the science or the logic or the reason. Rather, it was related with the art, literature, and music, which had five I's in it: imagination, intuition, idealism, inspiration, and individuality. These all things were given importance when we talk about the romantic imagination. The romantic imagination and the national feeling was related with the culture. Culture played an important role in it in creating art and poetry, stories, music helped express and shape nationalist feelings. Romanticism, a cultural movement, it was a cultural movement. And of course, in the other slides also I'll tell you that language played an important role. The figure 8 in your book, which gives an idea, the massacre at Chios, Eugene Delacroix, in 1824, he is a painter from France who has painted and has explained French romantic. He was a French romantic painter in which 20,000 Greeks were said to have been killed by Turks. Okay, so why? They were not having their nation, right? They were not having their own land. So by dramatizing the incident, focusing on the suffering of women and children and using vivid colors, Delacroix sought to appeal to the emotions of the spectators and create sympathy for the Greeks. Other romantics, such as the German philosopher John Gottfried Herder, claimed that true German culture was to be discovered among the common people. Das Volk. What was Das Volk? Is a German word or phrase which means the people, and that was also a newspaper also. Das Volk was a daily newspaper of Germany, and Volkgeist is also a German phrase which means nationalism or nationalist spirit. The term depicts the unique spirit and the character of the people of nation. So the folk songs, folk poetry, folk dances, they developed a true spirit of nation, Volkgeist, and this was popularized, and now people started asking for a nation state. The emphasis on the vernacular languages played an important role in spreading nationalism. This was especially so is in the case of Poland, which had partition at the end of the 18th century by great powers Russia, Prussia, and Austria. Even though Poland no longer existed as an independent territory, national feelings were kept alive through music and language. Karol Kurpinski, for example, celebrated the nationalist struggle through his opera and music, turning folk dances like the Polonaise and mazurka into nationalist symbols. Language, as I said, played an important role. After Russian occupation, the Polish language was forced out of the schools and Russian language was imposed everywhere. There was a lot of dominance of the Russian language those days. So, language played an important role in unifying and making a nation. Okay, Polish was used for church gatherings. Many economic hardships were there, and the use of Polish came to be seen as a symbol of the struggle against Russian dominance. and Russia was dominating with the language and with the culture also. Okay, so there were many hardships that time. The times which we are discussing, there were many hardships of that time. What were the hardships? Number one, that was the time of economic hardship. When we are talking about the hardships, we are talking about the economic hardships. Why these hardships were there? What were the causes? That Europe faced economic hardships. The first half of the 19th century saw an enormous increase in the population. Okay, the rise of food prices, that was a hardship, and 48 food shortage, widespread unemployment. You see, peasants revolted. Okay, the first half of the 19th century, increase in population, more seekers of job than employment. Employments were less, but the jobs employment was not there. Okay, and job seekers were more. Population from rural area migrated to the cities to live in overcrowded slums. There was a lot of migration of the population, increase in unemployment, increase in poverty, of course, and increase in food prices due to the crop failure, and industrialization. Industrial revolution was giving a great setback as well as a great competition to the small producers, and especially in the textile production. Now, the year 1848 was one such year where food shortage, widespread unemployment brought the population of Paris out of the roads. Barricades were erected and Louis Philippe was forced to flee. मैंने आपको बताया था Louis Philippe from the Bourbon dynasty, he had to flee. Earlier in 1845, weavers in Silesia had led a revolt against contractors who supplied them raw material and gave them orders for finished textiles but drastically reduced their payments. So they were not getting proper payments, whereas they had to give the services. That was very disgusting. The revolutions of liberals. Now we would talk about the revolutions of liberals. Why the liberals revolted? They revolted because they were not getting the educated middle class, those who were, who knew their rights, who knew that they really deserve to get some rights. So they revolted against the autocrats, rulers or the monarchies, and they wanted to restore nation state on parliamentary principles. They wanted a constitution, they wanted a freedom of press, they wanted freedom of association. So people started protesting against the rulers. A large number of political associations came together in Frankfurt to vote for an all-German National Assembly. On May 18th, 1848, 831 elected representatives take their place in the Frankfurt Parliament convened in the Church of St. Paul. See. So here, what they did here, the constitution was drafted here, headed by the monarchy, subject to a parliament. The crown, Frederick Wilhelm IV, was offered to have a seat, King of Prussia, but he rejected it because he was in favor of the joined other monarchs. He was in favor of the conservatives and he joined the other monarchs and opposed the elected assembly. The middle class dominated the parliament and large number of women participated in the liberal movement. Women formed their own political associations, founded newspapers and took part in different activities, and but still they were denied with the suffrage rights during the election of the assembly. In the year after 1848, the autocratic monarchies of the Central and Eastern Europe began to introduce the changes that had already taken place in Western Europe in 1815. Thus, serfdom and bonded labor were abolished both in the Habsburg domains and in Russia. And though the conservative forces were able to suppress liberal movement, but they could not restore the old order. Monads were beginning to realize that cycles of revolution repressions could only be ended by granting concessions to the liberal nationalists and the revolutionaries, and ultimately the serfdom and bonded labor were abolished, both the Habsburg dominions and in Russia. The Habsburg rulers granted more autonomy to the Hungarians. And this is the way, this is the end of this video, and let's meet in the other one.